Good morning, freelancers. I just want to go over the calendar and give you guys some tips for the week. So, as you surely know, today, tomorrow, the day after, I'll be holding conferences. And if for some reason you weren't able to get a scheduled conference with me or you're waiting on a reply to an email, just know that I'm sifting through that as quickly as I can while I'm also catching up on your session one final drafts. And I think by the end of the week, everything should be kind of locked in, right? And we'll all be on the same schedule and pattern. But like I've said before, session 2 is very similar to session 1. So now we're going to get back into the groove with reply, revise, reply, revise, reply, revise 3 more times across this week and next week. Your first reply is due Tuesday, then your first revision update is due Thursday, your second reply is due Sunday, and then we can talk about next week. Let's just focus on one thing at a time. And here are some tips for moving from last session into this one. These are some things I wrote down in reflection after looking back at session 1. So if not everything in your progress and comments document has been checked off yet, that is coming soon. I'm just kind of, like I said, chipping away at things as I conference with you guys this week and just kind of pull all the pieces together. But I want you to start this week right away by double checking that you met all the requirements for your original post that was due Sunday last night in the session 2 reply and revise discussion board. A lot of people skipped the requirements last session, being a title for your piece, an image to grab our attention, a short summary also to grab our attention. You're trying to sell your piece to the group, to the board, practice selling it to potential publishers and whatnot. Really experiment with audience and capturing our attention within the context for your purpose, trying to get your message across. And so just double check that. And then you should have 2 links. You should have a link to your draft and your complete draft. And that link should stay constant, just one link to draft the entire session. So even if you decide personally that you want to change to a different document, just change the one link. So delete the old one, put the new one up, rather than having multiple links and having people try to guess which one is the most current one. Just one link to draft, and you control what that link is when you're working on different things. The other link is to the outside sources document. This is the aspect of the course that I'm going to be talking about a little bit more this session, because in the first session it was there for you guys to kind of just wet your feet, and some of you dove right in and started filling that out pretty well. But as a majority, we're a little behind on that. And I say behind because you guys are using sources, but then you're not displaying them in the outside sources document, where you really have the chance to demonstrate your knowledge of the different skills as far as citations and citing sources ethically. So double check for that. If you look in the instructions for the session 2 reply and revise discussion assignment, you will find a link to the outside sources document that, it's my copy, and then you just go file, make a copy. If you need help with that, let me know. All right, in your replies, which are the first thing that are due this week, I want to talk a little bit about some improvements you can make in order to actually keep earning green, a complete, and not purple, which is a pending. I'm going to be looking a little more strictly for the 2-paragraph structure in your replies. So you should be starting with 1 paragraph that gives compliments, affirmations, encouragement, strengths, and your ability to your ability to identify those things is also strengthening and helping you practice identifying strengths in your own work. I want you to get into positive writing habits, and part of that is being able to look at a piece, your own or another person's, and say, this is what I like about this. This is why I like it. This is what is working about it. And then that way we can keep and harness those aspects of writing that are already going really well. The next paragraph is suggestions for improvement. Now, I'm not saying corrections. I'm not saying weaknesses. I'm literally saying suggestions for improvement. Think about the work that I do, for instance. I, for many years now, have taught composition courses, so think of the number of students that I've interacted with. There are times when there's nothing wrong with a piece of writing, and yet there's still so much to say, because a piece of writing could become anything. It's like a little chunk of art. And so when you look at a piece and you think, I have nothing to correct, that's because that's not really the task that you're being asked to do. You're asked to give suggestions for, and I'll even just alter it slightly right now, suggestions for possible improvement, suggestions for experimentation. And so you might say, this part was really interesting. I almost feel like I want more of that. Or I read a piece yesterday where I thought, I wish you would have taken more time on this one moment and really drawn it out a bit, because it was such a good point that I wanted to stay in it for a minute. Or you might be like, that's interesting, but I think I'd be able to buy into it more if there was a statistic to back it up. Or, oh, have you thought about asking someone for this perspective? Or maybe your story could go here. Or, I don't really know what this word is. Could you define it for us as readers? Those kinds of things are going to be really useful for the writer, because some of those sample suggestions that I'm rehearsing right now, they build excitement and momentum for the process of writing, whereas corrections don't always do that. What we want to do, what I try to do, I'm not always perfect at it, but is we want to give each other input that feels generative. So your comment on my work, my comment on your work inspires me to generate more, to create more. And that's what we're aiming for here. Is your goal when you read someone else's work is, how can I help them create more or be even more excited about their own piece? How can I motivate them? How can I increase momentum in this space? And if one person is doing that, and it creates sort of a spirit in the discussion board that then becomes contagious, and we can motivate each other to do our best work to persist to the end of this quarter together. So that should help you a little bit with improving your Tuesday and Sunday night deadline. With Thursday, when you're posting the revision updates, I do want to say that, again, go back to the instructions with these and make sure that you are writing an actual short paragraph or blurb. There are a variety of questions that are listed in the assignment instructions themselves, and I can guarantee you that you cannot answer all of these questions in 1, 2, even 3 sentences. That would be it would definitely be cutting corners. And what I'm looking for here is in other writing courses, you might be asked to show multiple drafts and then draw a line between exactly what was in the old one and how you corrected that in a new one. And to me, that's very tedious, and it feels like micromanaging your work. And so instead, what I want you to do is just tell me about it, and I will believe you. Tell me if you did all this hard work, just detail it out. Some of the ones that felt kind of strong to me were bulleted, so talked through different sections of things, categories of things that you worked on, but mainly I'm looking for detail. So in your revision update, it says that you will, hold on, let me find it. Okay, you will edit your original post and add the headings revision number 1, number 2, and number 3. You could do that now and then just write under them as we go. Under each, write a short blurb update mini paragraph about the revisions you've made, about them. So what are they? Why did you make them? How are they working out for you? Do you feel good about them? Or are you still kind of pondering and torn on them? Do you have questions? Do you want to process a little bit? And what do you still want to accomplish in future revisions? This guides the readers of your work to know kind of how to participate in your revision process, so that they don't just give you information that you're not really ready to or interested in receiving. It guides me too, because then I know what your habits are right now, what you're already inclined to revise in your own work. And then I can participate in that with you, or maybe even observe some kind of important revision that you're not doing that I could guide you to make, or talk to you about, why are you not prioritizing that as a revision? So this is you showing your work by just telling me without me, like I said, micromanaging that process for you. And again, the reason why I'm taking up so much time to talk about this here is because I'm going to start, now that it's session 2 and we're in week 7 of the quarter, I'm going to start switching to purple or pending if you guys are overlooking these aspects of the instructions. This isn't like a scolding or anything. It's just like a helpful, preemptive message of, let's go a little further. It's, like I said, it's session 2. Let's improve our work this time around. If you fall behind by like a day or two, just remember, as with session 1, catch up as quickly as you can. I will be checking things off. I will be looking for timely stuff, because especially with replies, if you just come in at the very end and give those to people, then they can't do anything with them. So replies, you want to be spacing those out, following the timeline. But I do not want you guys being like, oh no, I missed a deadline, I should just give up. No, crank these things out, because at the end of the session, I'll give you credit for whatever you completed. So just know that you don't need to seek out my explicit permission to complete something a day late. Just do it. Just get it in there. Keep cycling through. It's about just repetition, routine, habits. That's what we're building here together. And the last thing that I want to talk about is just at the very top of the reply and revise discussion board are the same resources from session 1: essays, claim driven, pie paragraphs, MLA citations, SIP format, and now rhetorical analysis, academic voice, and 5-comma rules, as well as just a permanent space for the self-review resource, which is that bulleted style self-check rubric. That's something, that self-review resource, that if you guys have access to a printer, it might be helpful to just kind of print that out and continue to reflect on how you think you're doing in regards to those bullets, because those bullets drive a lot of what I'm motivated to say in response to your work. Like, that's really at the heart of what I'm driving from. And that sentence didn't make any sense. Anyway, good morning. And so I want to strongly encourage you guys to start to dive into those 3 new resources right away. I listed them in the order that I hope you will access them, but again, I won't micromanage you. So ideally, I do think that getting a deep understanding of rhetorical analysis, or the rhetorical situation, as I call it on the resource itself, gives you a more philosophical frame, lens through which to interpret your own work and each other's work, and to see how all the parts come together. I indicated a little bit in the plan that we're going to be asking new questions of our work, like not just what is this piece about, but what purpose does it serve and for who? So who am I even writing to, and what am I hoping to accomplish? And is the thing I'm hoping to accomplish even that important? How can I fine tune all of these parts so that, these mechanisms, so that this piece actually has more significance for an audience and a context and a purpose? And so that's what you're playing with there. And you'll review a little bit of ethos, pathos, and logos, and you'll get some real, survey level rhetorical history, and you'll hopefully learn a few new things, even if all you're learning are just words for what you already know, which is still a powerful layer to learning and growth. And then academic voice, because in the first session, I didn't say much about this. I just wanted you guys to be free to write and to flow. And so a lot of you were using the first person and the second person. That's I, me, my, you, yourself, your. And I think this is totally fine. I was spot checking and responding to some of that. But there is a lot of wisdom that we can start applying now to how we do that skillfully for the purpose of serving our audiences and propelling our own writing purposes and conveying what we want to convey and being successful in different contexts and whatnot. So those two pieces sort of play together, and you guys are all at a stage where paying attention to these things more deeply and critically considering them will help all of you as writers. These are the kinds of things that advanced writers are constantly puzzling over and mulling over in their minds as they complete a piece for a deadline. And the last one is 5 comma rules. And I know in the title is the word rules, but once you get to the page, I really hope you will focus on the concept of writing with commas for the sake of style and meaning and variety, and just being able to support complex writing in sentences and to have a little flair or something with your writing. So really, we're now working on like what are the cherries that we can put on top of these foundational skills that we're building. And that is officially it. I might have more later in the week, but I'm really thinking next Monday is when I might just kind of revisit and provide maybe some lecture or presentation to you guys as you finish up this new piece that you're getting to play with. Which, by the way, I'm really looking forward to seeing what you guys switched to. I read your plans, and many of you said with a lot of autonomy, which excites me so much too, but you said, I'm just kind of done with that last one, and I am excited to move on to something else. And I look forward to getting caught up in your own excitement and passion for whatever your topics are. So I'll see you guys in your conferences and on the discussion board. Have an awesome week.